In a tiny community of only 60 people spread across 9 settlements, a heavy snowfall causes the grass to wither, leaving no food for the animals. The Arctic is a realm of extreme conditions, bone-chilling temperatures, prolonged darkness, and utter isolation, but for centuries, indigenous peoples have not only survived here, they have flourished. Scattered throughout Alaska, Canada, Greenland, Scandinavia, and Russia, these groups have developed remarkable traditions, from hunting under the veil of night to constructing dwellings from ice. Some tribes, however, have lifestyles that are truly extraordinary. Take the Yupik, for example. They see the world as a living tapestry woven not only from land and sea but also from spirits. To them, every element in nature, whether a towering mountain or a small fish, possesses a soul. Their shamans, revered as spiritual guides, are believed to heal the sick, communicate with these spirits, and even bring misfortune upon those who disrupt the delicate balance of nature. At the heart of their belief system is Elmu, the spirit of the universe credited with creating all life. This deep respect for nature influences every facet of their lives, from their customs and survival techniques to their art. Their culture is expressed not just in words but also in carvings and dances, as seen in the beautiful masks and sculptures fashioned from wood and ivory, each narrating its own story. Traditional dances, often performed at potlatch ceremonies, serve to honor their ancestors and connect with the spiritual realm. Surviving in the Arctic demands skill, knowledge, and resilience. The Yupik are masters of living off the land and sea. They hunt seals, walruses, and caribou with harpoons, spears, and kayaks to endure brutal winters. In addition, some isolated Arctic groups construct underground communal houses known as kashim and build warm shelters lined with animal skins called anna, while the Yupik continue to seek wisdom from the spirits of the land and sea. Another remarkable people, the Nenets, have mastered the language of ice and snow. For centuries, these extraordinary individuals have made their home in the harsh Siberian tundra, developing an intimate understanding of snow, ice, and permafrost. One of their unique abilities is reading the snow. Their language contains many words to describe its various forms, enabling them to forecast the weather, locate the best grazing areas for their reindeer, and determine safe travel conditions. As climate change rapidly alters their environment, melting ice and erratic weather patterns disrupting migration routes, this expertise has become more vital than ever. The Nenets traditionally live in cone-shaped tents called chums, made from reindeer hides that can withstand temperatures as low as -50 degrees Celsius, keeping the warmth in and the cold out. Portability is key, as they migrate with their herds. Family is the cornerstone of Nenets society. They organize themselves into clans, with lineage passed down through the male line, each clan preserving its own customs and territory. Elders hold significant authority, yet the true spiritual leaders are the shamans, known as Tardia, who maintain harmony between people and nature. Despite their strong bond with the land, the Nenets' way of life is under threat from massive industrial projects like the Yamal Mega Project, which encroach on their territory, disrupt migration routes, and pollute their environment, threats that could erase their traditional lifestyle forever. While the Nenets battle environmental challenges, another tribe, the Aleuts, has suffered from a different, more devastating force, colonization. In the 18th century, Russian fur traders first used the term Aluk to describe two distinct groups, one from the Uyan Islands and another from Kodiak Island. Although these groups shared similar environments, their languages and cultures were distinct. Everything changed in 1741 when Russian colonizers arrived. What began as trade soon became exploitation. Overhunting of sea otters and seals decimated the ecosystems on which the Aleuts depended, and diseases spread rapidly amid violent conflicts. As a result, their population plummeted from 25,000 to just 2,000 by the late 19th century. With their numbers nearly wiped out, the Aleuts have struggled to keep their culture alive. Their language, Anangam Tunu, once spoken by thousands, now has only about 109 fluent speakers, a loss that has deeply affected their identity. Nevertheless, they are determined to revive their traditions and pass them on to future generations. The Aleut people have always maintained a close bond with nature through animism and shamanism, believing that spirits inhabit the sea, wind, and land. When Russian Orthodox missionaries introduced Christianity, the Aleuts blended their ancestral beliefs with the new faith rather than abandoning them. For generations, Aleut men were expert hunters, navigating treacherous seas in skin-covered kayaks, locally known as baidarkas, to pursue seals, sea otters, whales, and walruses, while women gathered fish, birds, shellfish, and wild plants. Their survival depended on cooperation and a strong connection to both land and sea. Then, during World War II, the US government forcibly relocated the Aleuts to internment camps under deplorable conditions, tearing families apart and shattering their way of life. Their suffering went unrecognized for decades until the Aleut Restitution Act of 1988 offered compensation, though no sum could mend the deep scars left by war and displacement. At the same time, another Arctic tribe, the Korik, has seen its culture slowly fade due to modern policies that have reshaped their traditional way of life. The Korik have long lived in harmony with nature, making decisions as a community rather than following rigid hierarchies. Family cooperation is vital, and wisdom is passed down through shamans who lead rituals and drumming ceremonies, reinforcing the belief that nature is sacred. One of the most critical aspects of Korik culture is their deep reliance on reindeer. For centuries, these animals have been their lifeline, providing food, clothing, tools, and transportation, with every part used so that nothing goes to waste. They have adapted to seasonal changes by constructing semi-underground homes for the harsh winters and sturdy tents for the milder coastal summers. They also built boats from wood and animal skins to fish and hunt marine life during summer, while women collected berries and roots to store food for colder months. External pressures, including Soviet policies aimed at eroding their traditions, have led to a decline in their language and customs. In 2007, the merger of the Korik Autonomous Oahu with Kamchatka Krai reduced their political representation, making it even more challenging to protect their heritage. While the Korik survival has been tied to reindeer, they are not the only Arctic people whose fate is connected to an animal. The Gwaiyang, for instance, share a special bond with the caribou, seeing these animals as essential to their identity, culture, and survival, not merely as a source of food. As the respected leader Sarah James puts it, caribou are not just what we eat, they are who we are. This connection is woven into their traditions, stories, and daily lives. For generations, the Gwaiyang have depended on caribou for sustenance, clothing, shelter, and tools. They use the hides to build tents, the fur for warmth in bedding and garments, and the bones to craft indispensable tools. More than a survival resource, the caribou are deeply embedded in their spiritual and cultural beliefs. Creation myths recount a time when the Gwaiyang and the caribou were one, and even after parting, a vow was made to honor the caribou forever. Today, the rhythm of Gwaiyang life still follows the migration of the porcupine caribou herd. Their mastery in tracking these animals and understanding their habits is not just about securing food, it is a practice of respect and sustainability, ensuring that the caribou population remains robust for future generations. Now, their struggle has expanded to include protecting the caribou from modern threats. When oil companies targeted the Arctic's National Wildlife Refuge, home to crucial caribou calving grounds, the Gwaiyang mobilized, viewing the issue as not only an environmental crisis but also a fight for their very way of life. With climate change and other external pressures affecting caribou populations, the Gwaiyang have emerged as fierce advocates for both the herd and their sacred land. Similarly, another indigenous group from Siberia, the Evenk, has worked tirelessly to preserve their deep connection to the land. Having lived in Siberia for thousands of years, originally settling between Lake Baikal and the Amur River, their history has been shaped by interactions with neighboring tribes and by Russian colonization. In the 17th century, the imposition of fur taxes forced them to expand their territory, leading to conflicts with settlers. Despite these challenges, they resisted and maintained their cultural identity. The Evenk have long been nomadic, relying on reindeer for transportation and sustenance. They built conical tents from birch bark or reindeer hides to ensure mobility in harsh conditions, and their diet traditionally included reindeer meat, fish, and wild game. A strong sense of community ensured that no one was left without food, while elders, including shamans, provided essential guidance and healing. Although the Evenk language, part of the Tungusic family and a link to other indigenous Siberians, is fading as younger generations adopt Russian, their cultural spirit endures. Another Siberian group, the Yukar, has developed an even deeper spiritual bond with nature. They believe that every element, from fire and the sun to trees and animals, harbors a spirit, and they revere their supreme deity, Pugu, as the moral guardian who maintains universal balance. Every Yukar clan is led by a shaman, or RMA, who bridges the gap between the physical and spiritual realms. These shamans are deeply respected, and even after their passing, they are honored as sacred figures. For the Yukar, animals are far more than food. They are living spiritual beings with individual souls, and hunters are bound by sacred traditions to honor them. Such customs, passed down through countless generations, ensure harmony with nature. Their respect for the land even extends to trees, which they consider protectors, and they hold ceremonies to honor these living guardians, reaffirming the belief that every part of nature possesses a soul. Dreams also play a crucial role in Yukar culture, as they are thought to predict the future and guide the community through environmental dangers. Shamans interpret these visions to advise on seasonal shifts, personal challenges, and survival strategies. Even with the influence of Russian Orthodox Christianity, many Yukar continue to blend their ancient shamanic practices with newer religious ideas. Their adaptability is evident in how they once crafted all their tools from natural materials like wood and stone, built sturdy wooden shelters for winter, and created lightweight, portable homes for the summer, practices that have allowed them to thrive for centuries. Further north, the Inuit have mastered life in the unforgiving Arctic. For them, the frozen landscape is not merely a place to endure, it is home. Hunting is central to their way of life. They use harpoons to capture sea creatures and bows and arrows for land animals. Their resourcefulness is also seen in their use of kayaks and larger boats to navigate icy waters. Caribou are vital to Inuit culture, supplying not only food but also the materials needed for clothing and tools. The hides keep them warm, the fat fuels oil lamps, and the bones are fashioned into useful implements. Inuit clothing, made from seal or caribou skin, is designed to protect against extreme cold, while their language carries the history and traditions that connect generations. Their art, carved from soapstone, whale bone, walrus tusks, and other materials, vividly portrays animals and daily life with deep spiritual significance. In winter, Inuit families construct igloos that provide insulation against the bitter cold, and in summer they shift to animal skin tents or turf huts near hunting grounds. Community and cooperation lie at the heart of Inuit life. Food from hunts is shared, and children learn by observing rather than through punishment. However, modern challenges have disrupted these age-old practices. Settling into permanent communities has limited hunting opportunities, resulting in food insecurity, as store-bought food is often expensive and less nutritious than their traditional diet. Social issues such as high suicide rates and mental health struggles have also emerged as the Inuit navigate rapid changes in their way of life. In Siberia, the Kti and Monty tribes maintain a profound spiritual bond with the bear, which they regard as both an ancestor and a protector. For them, hunting a bear is far more than a means of survival, it is a sacred ritual. After a hunt, they hold ceremonies filled with singing, dancing, and storytelling to honor the bear's spirit. This ritual helps them reconcile the heavy responsibility of taking a bear's life while deepening their connection to nature. These tribes also follow a traditional social structure where family lineage is passed down through the male line, and their spiritual practices are deeply woven into everyday life, with shamans serving as mediators between the physical and spiritual realms. Despite modern influences, efforts continue to preserve their culture, exemplified by the Konya Autonomous Oug in Russia, which is dedicated to protecting their traditions, language, and way of life. Farther west in the northern regions of Europe, the Sami people have adapted to their cold environment for thousands of years. Tracing their origins back more than 10,000 years to the time after the last ice age, they were traditionally hunters, fishers, and gatherers who moved with the seasons. Around 1500 CE, they began domesticating reindeer, a practice that became central to their culture. Today, reindeer herding remains a defining aspect of Sami life, especially in Norway and Sweden, where it is legally protected. Every part of the reindeer is used, from its meat to its hide, and traditional dishes, such as a hearty reindeer stew, highlight the deep connection they share with their herds. Although the Sami continue to migrate with their reindeer in search of fresh grazing lands, they have faced